there any prehabilitation going on in any of the departments in haematology?
So I know some of our physiotherapists have tried to do prehabilitation. They have been trialling it in some areas. I think within CLL it hasn't been pushed as hard as it could be. We have been very much held back by some of the resources available to us. We've luckily had within Belfast City Hospital, had a charitable fitness activity coach. He is paid completely by charity, and he would do both prehabilitation and post-treatment recovery as well. But he is one person. So it is very difficult. He would sometimes run classes in a gym in the hospital, but a lot of it is by Zoom as well, due to access difficulties, and it's not something I think enough money has gone into.
Just in the fixed duration therapy, that stops, right? And then your MRD, minimal residue of disease, or MRD negative or whatever, but then the disease can come back over time. Is there any kind of advances in to try and dampen down those B cells, those bad B cells of venetoclax-late, that, okay, if you go over a certain percentage, you're going to be going on through, but they can just keep it down so it's longer?
I think one of the aims of fixed duration therapy was to allow like a good deep response and then a period of active surveillance again. So there isn't necessarily any thing looking at like a maintenance type treatment. It's just by nature of how the different drugs work. So by the nature of how the BTKIs work, they require continuous therapy. And for some people that model works incredibly well. It suits their needs and their lifestyle. For others, their preference is perhaps fixed duration, a deeper level of response, and therefore a period of active surveillance again. And there is a concept, I'd put it on the last slide, about minimal residual disease. So that is, she's referred to undetectable MRD, where there's a very deep level of response and we can't detect the disease at that point. But we know it's probably still there somewhere just below the levels of our detection. We don't currently do that in our routine practice because it's not commissioned or funded for me to do. It's something that's largely looked at in many of clinical trials, and that might be different in the south. There may be some labs that are equipped to actually look at that, but it's not something that we routinely explore in our day-to-day practice. And I think when disease emerges again after a period of treatment, the indications to treat at the start are often the indications to treat at that setting as well. But I think at the start or down the line with further therapy, it all has to be individualised. We need to treat you as the individual and see how your disease is responding. Do you have any side effects of previous therapy? What is the desired effect at this point in time as well? So a lot of the things at the start when we think about therapy are the same sort of factors that we need to think about when the disease decides to emerge again.
When you have a consultation with your clinical nurse specialist in particular, that it's good that you see your blood results before the session, simply because it provides a more informed discussion. However, I find it really, really difficult to get my blood results before anyone else has seen them. Basically, I think that it helps make me less anxious when I see the blood results first.
I suppose we've had Encompass since, for those in the south, it's a new IT system where patients have access to something called MyCare, where they can see their blood results and letters from doctors, etc. I suppose the difficulty is we have to okay, so it doesn't automatically all go on. And if you had your bloods done in the community, again, they don't automatically all go on. And I think it is very individual. So some patients love to have all their details beforehand, have all their blood results. Others, that creates more anxiety because they've had their results for a day or two and haven't had someone to talk to. So there's two sides to that coin as well. So I do understand the difficulty. And then we have some patients who don't want to know their blood results at all, just tell me okay or not okay. And others who have graphs going back years of all their blood results. So it is very individualised. So I think it's something to build up that rapport with your nurse specialist. Is there something they can do to try and accommodate that? You're one of many. I don't know whether they'll be able to or not. The Southern Trust be able to sort that. But it usually is okay to be able to go on MyCare for the reason of we have had patients get results on and then haven't had someone to talk to. And it's created more anxiety. So there is two sides to that coin,
I can also say from experience that being able to access information varies hugely around the country. It's, there is one health system, but it is quite segmented in the way it does it. One of my motivations for joining CLL Support was to make sure that the devolved nations had a voice. In the UK, NICE approves medicines in England and Wales, and it's the SMC, and don't worry about the acronyms, they're just two different organisations, do it in Scotland. During COVID, the way things were implemented were different, and they were also done at a different pace. So it is difficult. It is not one size fits all, and this is why we are motivated to break down those barriers and making people aware of them, and then being able to advocate to try and break down those barriers and improve the systems is what we're all about. But it's a dilemma. Your question is very pertinent and real, and it's a similar theme that we've heard. I really do want to make a very important point that Sarah and Laura are here on a Saturday. It's their day off. They work hard. They're on call at weekends or on duty at weekends. So I really personally appreciate the fact that you've given your time on a Saturday to be here with us all day. And I think they especially need a round of applause for that.